Production funding for Ruckus has been provided by gifts from Dave and Jamie Cummings, the Fred and Lou Hartwig family, Peter and Barbara Gattermeyer, the Courtney S. Turner Charitable Trust, John H. Mize, and Bank of America N.A. co-trustees, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Ruckus, our weekly food for thought fight over the news of the day and the trends of the times. I'm Mike Shannon. The Ruckettes join me shortly on our topics this week. Elections have consequences, and a consequential one is but a few days away. The economic consequences of earlier elections still reverberate in Kansas City, and a local congresswoman may soon face a consequential choice. Plus, of course, roast and toast. But we're going to start with our Newsmaker segment and look at one of the city council races soon to be decided. Joining me is Eric Bunch, a candidate in the 4th District, which includes downtown, Midtown, and the Country Club Plaza. This is an in-district race, meaning it will be decided only by voters in the 4th District. We talked with Eric's opponent on an earlier program. Eric Bunch, welcome back to Ruckus. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
You are the co-founder of Bike Walk KC, which is what?
Yeah, Bike Walk KC is a nonprofit primarily focused on advocacy around walkability, bikeability, so improving sidewalks, improving accessibility, improving access to public transportation. You know, we started Bike Walk KC with the idea that the big changes, that the transformation the city really needs to really address some of the big, deep inequalities, public health disparities, things like crime, are really, they need long-term solutions, and improving accessibility for everyone was one of those things that we really felt was part of that.
We'll get to the issues in a moment. Let's talk about you. Tell us your background.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm the co-founder and policy director at Bike Walk KC. I went to William Jewell College up in Liberty, Missouri. I left Kansas City for a time, lived in Columbia for a few years, Columbia, Missouri, and then went off to Denver for a couple years and came back because we felt, my wife and I felt like Kansas City was a place that where we wanted to raise kids. Midtown offers an incredible quality of life, and so we decided to raise our 3 kids right here in Midtown and send them to public schools.
I took a look at your website. Yeah. And I think we're going to put this on the screen. You say, as the next 4th District councilperson, I promise to expand public transportation, fix our sidewalks and streets, improve public education, make housing affordable, and fight for equity and social justice. Aside from the last point, how do you expect to get all that accomplished in perhaps 4 years as one of 13 council members?
Hopefully 8 years.
Well, you can do this in 8 years then.
But you know, I have a strong track record of bringing diverse voices to the table to make decisions and work on some of those big issues. Like as an example, with my work at Bike Walk KC, I advocated for our $150 million out of the GO bond a couple years ago to go to sidewalks and accessible curb ramps. Felt that was an important thing. So that's bringing people together to the table to really start solving some of these big challenges.
Would you say improve public education? The city council is not part of the school district program?
Absolutely. You're right. And the city council shouldn't co-opt the work of the school board.
Then how are you going to improve public education?
Well, one way is making sure that we're prioritizing investments in our community to support schools. So things like sidewalks, crosswalks, making sure neighborhoods are safe around those schools. But also it's about convening partners and making sure that we're having good conversations and making sure just simply that the city is a partner in the conversation.
You were endorsed by the Kansas City Star. I think the endorsement was this Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Are you happy by that or upset by it?
I'm absolutely elated over it. I think that the Kansas City Star recognizes that we do need to take some bold ideas and recognizes that yes, I'm interested in public transportation and walkability, but also they know that I have some great ideas on making housing affordable and really being a more accessible city council person. And I think that editorial really did a good job of
Kansas City
highlighting that.
Star also has endorsed Quentin Lucas for mayor. Have you endorsed either of the candidates?
I haven't endorsed a candidate publicly, no. I've worked with both of them, and I consider both of them friends. And I'm excited that we have 2 good choices. And and whichever one comes out in the end,
you can work
is
with
one
either.
who I can work with just about anyone.
Okay,
I'm a
we have
pretty
just
agreeable guy.
a very few seconds left. Very quickly, what do you consider the top issue that is facing Kansas City at this point?
I think it's the deep inequality that we've experienced over the decades. We like to say that a rising tide raises all boats, but that assumes you've got a boat. And so I'd like to make sure we build some more boats. So building sidewalks that are accessible for those with disabilities, or better sidewalks for everyone. Transportation that's accessible for everyone is accessible for everyone.
Got to stop you there. Thank you very much.
Congratulations
on your primary victory. Good luck in the general election.
Thank you so much.
That is 4th District City Council candidate Eric Bunch. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus. Jamaica Kendricks is an educator and education activist. Patrick Toohey is Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute, a free market think tank. Jeremy LaFavor is a former Missouri legislator, now with LaFavor and Associates. Ron Freeman is a motivational speaker and writer and will no doubt motivate us to have a lively discussion. Are you prepared to do that, sir?
Unquestionably, Mike, unquestionably.
Let's see if it happens. By the time Ruckus is back next week, and even earlier, we will know who the next mayor of Kansas City will be. Voters go to the polls on Tuesday, June the 18th. Since the April 4th primary, Jolie Justice and Quentin Lucas have been actively campaigning. There have been numerous debates, and you can watch the final debate here on KCPT tomorrow night at 7:30, again on Sunday morning at 11. We should know by now what the essential differences are between the two, what policy preferences separate them. They're both attorneys, both city council members, and both Democrats. But are there any significant distinctions? So, Jamaica, as a concerned voter, what do you discern to be the fundamental differences between those two mayoral candidates?
So for me, the major difference would be whether or not we continue in the direction that Mayor James has us moving, or whether or not we go somewhere different. I think Jolie would definitely continue with the same things that the mayor is doing. As far as investment in downtown area, investment in the airport, I think Quentin is looking at kind of spreading the wealth. So that in areas where I live, which is Midtown, where we're seeing some more development there, or where my parents live in the South Side, seeing some more development going on there and more money being put into those places, because right now it's really concentrated. And so the major difference for me is, do we continue with lots of incentives and development happening in a small portion of the city, or do we expand it and invest in other areas?
Patrick, would you say the differences are more style than substance?
No, I think there's substantive differences as well. Jamaica's right. I think Jolie Justice is much more of a third term for Mayor Sly James. But I agree with the Kansas City Star's editorial in which they endorsed Quentin Lucas. They said, frankly, we don't need any more conversations. We don't need to convene stakeholders. We know what Kansas City needs. What we need is a leader who has the nerve to actually do it.
Thank you for leading me into the Star endorsement, a portion of which I have available. It says, in another moment, one requiring less movement and more of the steady hand that Justice often mentions, she'd be a fine choice. But it is Lucas who is more apt to accomplish any item on the difficult change agenda they both talk about, and that's why Lucas has earned the Star's endorsement ahead of Tuesday's election. Agree with that endorsement?
Totally. I think that, and it's funny to agree with Kansas City Star, but hey, it happened. But you look at this situation.
We'll mark this as a first.
Yeah. Well, you need a charismatic, persuasive leader who's got a vision that's broader than what's been done. And I think that's Quentin Lucas.
Jeremy, if you were at the KCPT debate tomorrow evening and somebody asked you to ask a question of the candidates, what would it be?
Well, I think first of all, it's important to note that with the Kansas City Star's endorsement and $5, that'll get you a cup of coffee. But if I were to ask the two candidates a question, I would, many of the generic things that people ask, what are your priorities and things like that. For me, the race comes down to, which of these two candidates can I trust to carry out the agenda that they say that they're going to do? And while I consider Quentin a friend and a colleague, there have been multiple instances, at least from my standpoint, and I think many other people feel the same way, where he says one thing, says something different on Monday, and by Thursday, you have no idea how he's going to vote.
Jolie Justice has pointed that out in some of her commercials, has she done?
I haven't seen the commercials, but
testy
she,
at times.
She has.
They used to say that about Cleaver too, though. They used to.
Is it not
They still
okay
do.
for somebody to
So,
actually
yeah,
take
but I
in
think he's done fairly well
information
for
and
Kansas
utilize
City.
that information to inform their decision? Because today, I might say the potholes in the South Side need the attention the most. And I might get information that tells me, no, North Kansas City needs more help. Is it not okay for me to say with the information that I've received that I'm going to make a different decision? I don't think that's not okay. And with Jolie, it's general. There's nothing specific that she's putting out in a plan except to bring people together. So when it comes down to it, Jolie could say, I fulfilled every promise I ever made because I never made any.
And
So I
Quentin
don't
can
think
say
that's okay.
He made every promise he ever made because he makes all promises
So
and
accusing-
hopes that by talking out of both sides of his mouth, he can eventually accomplish something.
I think they all do.
Accusing politicians of being politicians
Right.
is fair. But you look at their track record. I think Quentin Lucas has demonstrated a willingness to take on the status quo when it comes to incentives downtown, to take on the status quo on housing, and Jolie Justice took on the airport. She took on crime. She had a crime commission that included no police officers. And their conclusion was to hire a city staffer whose job it was to work between bureaucrats.
Well, both have said they like the work the city manager is doing, Troy Schulte. He's been around for longer than most city managers. Do you think they both will keep the city manager? Either would keep the city manager if elected? Not that it's entirely up to the mayor. But
No, I have no idea. I imagine after the election, the city manager will kind of look at what the people have decided, talk with the candidate elect, or the mayor-elect, and determine if that person's vision aligns with his own and make a decision then. It shouldn't be part of the consideration now.
Is it healthy, Ron, to change city managers every once in a while? Since they're the ones with the real power in Kansas City, Missouri government.
Yeah, I think it's healthy to have that fresh blood and fresh vision. It's going to be more like what the new mayor's going to be.
All right, let us move on. So let me ask you, how are all these economic development deals we talk about so much, deals with tax breaks and other benefits for developers and businesses working out for Kansas City? Are the tax breaks for helping business development actually creating more revenue for the city and more jobs? Are the tax breaks making possible more and better basic services? Is the taxpayer being well served by the process? A study or two may say yes, but a study by the Show Me Institute says otherwise. A column about the study from Mr. Toohey appeared recently in the Kansas City Star. He's with us, so let me ask him directly, what are a couple of the key findings?
The study that the city commissioned and released in August 2018 was so bad and so flawed that I think a reasonable person can wonder if it was intentionally so. And in fact, my investigation and use of open records requests over the past several months have found out that in fact the city was so, I'll say, in bed with the Economic Development Corporation and all the agencies and stakeholders who benefit from the status quo, and by that I mean they make money off of having taxpayer dollars diverted to them, that the study seems to have been, the attempt of it seems to have been to just provide cover. And that's really disappointing. We spend millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in Kansas City, and we don't know if it's working. And we don't know if it's working because the effort made to study it was was a paper
Well,
tiger.
it sounds to me like what you're saying, and I'll ask Jeremy to comment here. It sounds like you're saying the people who are going to be affected by the study are the people who decide what the study will
That's exactly
study,
Yes.
and therefore preclude any outcome that doesn't help them.
Yes.
The only study that you need to look at and understand is between 2009 and 2018, real property tax revenue, actual revenue, that's a real calculation for Kansas City Public Library, increased 18%. 2 of those years were in a recession. In that same time period, personal property tax only increased 11.4%. And so we see that economic incentives work.
What does that have to do with economic
return?
incentive? That we're coming out of a recession. How much of that growth was due to the economy coming out of a recession, and how much of that growth was due to particular incentives?
Well, if you just look at personal property tax
You don't
and
know.
real property
That is
tax,
not the
it's
only
one.
data you need.
Could I finish answering the
Yeah,
question?
go ahead.
It's a third higher real property tax revenue. The problem everybody has is that libraries and schools don't have enough money. You have 18% more than you had before. If you have an empty surface parking lot or an empty office building, A little bit of something is still more than 100% of nothing.
That is
Patrick.
wrong. That is
That
wrong.
is absolutely true. That's math.
So I will explain to you what happens. The
Explain
studies
math to me.
The studies that the city funds and that are used around the country that are called the but-for analysis say, gosh, if we don't develop, this parcel will sit vacant, right? Think of Beth Shalom.
Think
when
of
Burns
downtown Kansas City
Right.
during the
When-
Kay Barnes
It's not
administration.
true.
When she invested in it, now we have this beautiful downtown.
Right, but if,
Well,
study that.
let's talk about-
I have
let's-
studied that.
let-
Hold on a second, Mike. Let me finish this point. Forgive me. If you look at the number of jobs created and businesses created in downtown Kansas City, right? It's
been
the
awesome.
entertainment district.
It's been amazing.
But the city,
Thanks
the
to that
growth,
investment.
the growth in the city has been flat. They have created no new jobs citywide and no new businesses citywide. What they have done is created an incentive for businesses to move downtown from elsewhere in the city. And by the way, move into a district where they pay no tax to the city. We are
Thank
hollowing
you.
out
Off of the
tax
cards,
base.
but you haven't had anything to the deck.
Thank
That's
you.
what's going
Thank
on.
you.
There's been 18% growth.
If I might resume as being host of the program,
Yes, please do.
For a minute.
we're talking about things like the Power and Light District, and they've been subsidized, and they continue to be subsidized long after completion. They'll be subsidized probably forever, and that's been talked about from the outset. But are they worth it, something like the Power and Light District?
Well, I think ultimately you're looking at a situation where there's a benefit up front to get people there, but at some point in time, you have to benefit from their presence. Bottom line, when you're going to have something that lasts for, 30, 40 years of tax-free living, I mean, that's great for the business. Doesn't help the community. And I think you got to have some situation where maybe an idea would be to say, okay, first 10 years you get your tax abatement, but after that we're going to progressively bring you to where you're actually contributing to the overall, and then 18% wouldn't even be relevant.
And there's an assumption that the development would not occur but for the incentive, and it is not true.
That's right.
And it has been demonstrated time and time again when those incentives are not given at 100% for 25 years, the development still occurs. So if the assumption is it's going to be a vacant parking lot unless we give away 25 years worth of 100% of taxes, then yes, they're going to have 100%
can't
of
get
nothing.
rid of 100%
But
of
the
taxes.
truth is that
75%
development would
capital
occur
right now.
regardless.
Okay, Jamaica, there's going to be a question on the June 18th ballot called Question 1, and it's going to ask if voters want to limit tax breaks on economic development to 50% instead of the current 75%. Do you like that idea?
I am glad that it's coming to voters. I am not in full agreement with limiting just blanket at 50%.
Neither
I
kind of-
think there needs to be something else done, but I think this is a result of the government not listening to people saying what we're doing is not working. It's not benefiting the whole city as we expected it to, so let's do something different.
And quickly, Patrick, neither mayoral candidate likes the Question 1. They want it to fail. Do you want it to fail?
I plan to vote for it personally. I think it's perfectly fine. I don't believe any of the crocodile tears. The developers who have never showed any interest in developing in the east side are now saying, oh, boo-hoo, if Question 1 passes, we won't develop in the east side.
I'll
They
take
don't
that.
care.
I'll take that as yes.
And I'm voting for it too.
All right. Kansas 3rd District Congresswoman Sharice Davids is serving her first term in the U.S. House. If she serves a second, may depend on how her party handles the question of impeachment. Some Democratic leaders are pushing hard to impeach President Trump. Speaker Nancy Pelosi takes another approach, quoted recently as saying she doesn't want to see Trump impeached. She wants to see him in prison. Davids has been non-committal on impeachment, saying she trusts Democrats on the relevant committees who are considering the issue. That approach works for now, but if the matter comes to a vote, Davids will have to say yay or nay. At this point, how do you think her constituents in the 3rd District of Kansas are leaning on impeaching Trump? Yay or nay? Ron?
Well, it's interesting that 53% of Democrats think he should be impeached, but 28% of the overall say no. So I got to think 3rd District's probably in that 28% that says no. If she votes for his impeachment, I think she's done. I don't think she's got a base of support there. The Democrats want him out because they think it's going to help him. That's their reason is that if we can make him, impeach him, we get the House, maybe we get the Senate, and maybe we get a Democrat president. And that's not going to happen. It's a pipe dream. But their only hope has been somehow the Russian collusion, and that, again, that fell flat on its face. Mueller investigation was going to sink him. It didn't. So now we go with impeachment. If she supports that, she's in trouble.
Jeremy, what about the other Democratic House member from the metro area, Emmanuel Cleaver? Is he supportive of impeachment?
I think they're both smart to sit back and let the folks on the committees do their work and look at the evidence. I think voters in Kansas's 3rd in particular are a smart bunch of voters that their thought is maybe they don't have an opinion right now, let's look at the evidence. But I think what the responsible choice that Sharice in particular is making right now is to sit back and take a look at it and make a decision based on the information and not emotion.
Jamika, what might the U.S. House charge Donald Trump with if they sought impeachment? What would be the high crime and or misdemeanor or both or more?
I am not sure specifically what they would charge him with, but I'm sure it would come out of
They're
the
not
Mueller
either,
report.
I don't think.
They're not, and that's why it's not happening. But also, it's not happening because it shouldn't. And I know you probably thought that I would want him impeached. However,
I did think that. Thank you
However,
for proving me wrong.
I don't think, like right now, it's not that he has a year left before we do another election. So let the people decide. Also, when we've done impeachment, that's happened 2 other times where it's actually gotten through the House and gone to the Senate and it's not passed. Well, we've got 53 Republicans in our Senate. If they move forward with impeachment, it's just political play because it's not going to go through. It's going to be the same as the other 2 times we attempted. I think the only time where it would have actually worked is with Nixon, but he resigned.
Yeah, that's a good point she brings up, Patrick. Why proceed with impeachment when you know it will fail in the U.S. Senate?
Well, so it's just rank politics, right? So this is not unique to Democrats, and this is not unique this year. You've got a party that is trying to play to the base because they are the activists. They show up, they scream and yell, and so you've got that here. You've got the kind of progressives. However, Nancy Pelosi is Speaker because of the 40 Democrats who won in Republican districts. So, she's got kind of the age-old political job, which is give some red meat to the base, but don't upset the people that brung you.
Ron, do you think Republicans believe they would benefit if Trump went through an impeachment process?
Oh, I think we are benefiting already, and I think the reality for the Democrats, when you look at Iowa last week, Elizabeth Warren's her top most favorable candidate. So they've got issues way beyond the president to do something in 2020, so they need to really focus on that.
What about Democrats, Jeremy? Are they better served by continuing down the impeachment road or backing away from it and looking at other areas?
I'm confident that Democrats are able to chew gum and walk at the same time, where they can, assign their committees to do the work, do the investigations, while also continue the work that Congress is supposed to be doing.
Do you think we're going to get to an impeachment hearing, at least in the House?
Probably.
And what do you think might be the charge or charges?
Obstruction of justice.
Do you agree with that?
I don't think we'll hear a hearing. I think they very much want to talk about this to keep the base happy. But if she's going to start an impeachment, she pretty much needs to start it in the next few weeks because there are time frames, investigations, and then a vote, and they're going to run up into the election. Well, I don't think Joe Biden.
Yeah,
wants
as we close in on the 2020 campaign, what's the point of an impeachment trial when, if in fact the American people want Donald Trump out of office, they will have a chance to
be focusing on winning elections
show
right
them.
now.
All right. Okay, we seem to be in virtual agreement.
Huzzah!
That is amazing.
All right, everybody.
All right, let's go to the soapbox. It's time for Roast and Toast, where the Ruckettes have 30 seconds each to aggravate, activate, or contemplate. And up first is Ron Freeman.
All righty. I'm going to toast the Kansas City Royals and Big Slick fundraiser featuring Chiefs quarterback, what's that kid's name again? Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, and Shawnee Mission graduates Paul Rudd and Jason Sudeikis raising $2.5 million for Children's Mercy Hospital, and Patrick Mahomes hit a home run in Royal Stadium, too. How about that?
On the topic of Patrick, Mr. Toohey.
A roast again to Bike Walk KC. A few weeks ago, they released a report making outrageous claims that $400 million spent on bike lanes in Kansas City would create 12,000 jobs and save 36 lives. A brief investigation of that found that none of it was true. They're back now claiming that there's been a 600% increase in biking since we put bike lanes in Armour Boulevard and elsewhere in the city. Again, that is completely specious. I think their plan should be rejected simply because the organization can't be honest with their own data.
All right, Jeremy.
My roast, following up on Ron, the other side of that, I'm going to roast the Kansas City Star editorial page, who unfairly and, in my view, disgustingly attacked the Big Slick fundraiser that raised $2.5 million for children who are suffering illnesses, only in an attempt to get more clicks and to insert race into a conversation that didn't need it. You should be ashamed of yourselves, and I hope you have trouble sleeping at night.
Jamika?
Well, I'm going to toast Symington Elementary. I was teaching there for the last 2 years. My 6th graders just graduated, so shout out to you all because I know you want it. And it is a school, Hickman Mills, as we know, have schools that are closing. And so my 6th graders were the last 6th grade class to graduate from Symington. So a toast to them and all the staff at Symington and those people who came to say goodbye.
All right, and finally, here's a toast to Democratic consultant and pollster Mark Penn, a Clinton confidant, who is telling the horde of Democrats calling for impeachment to stop. He says the party should focus instead on health care and infrastructure. Let us hope that Penn is mightier than the horde. See what I did there?
Yeah, I saw that. Sorry.
Don't forget the mayor's debate tomorrow evening, 7:30, with Nick Haynes and the 2 candidates for mayor, running at 7:30 tomorrow night, again at 11 o'clock on Sunday. That is Ruckus for this week. Back next Thursday at 7. Now for the Ruckus and crew, I'm Mike Shannon saying thanks very much for watching and good night.